everybody, and welcome to this edition of Sports Talk. This is Jimmy Allinder, being joined by Frank Noppenberger, the Supervisor of Athletics for East Brunswick High School. And we're going to take a look at the winter sports season that's almost concluded, Frank. I want to thank you very much for joining us.
Well, Jim, it's always my pleasure to be here. Anything to help out our athletes at East Brunswick or any of East Brunswick students. And at this time, it's appropriate to thank you and everyone else who volunteered their time to help broadcast the games for wrestling and for the basketball. So thank you.
Well, on behalf of our team, I want to thank you and express our thanks for making the facilities available and always doing so many nice things for us so that we can do our job. So
we try.
We're very, very pleased about that. Hey, listen, before we begin with looking at the teams, I wanted to throw a couple of questions at you like I usually do and hope that we don't run out of time because we get so wrapped up in all the interesting things that you do. And I jotted down a couple of little notes here because I really wanted to be specific with the kind of questioning that I have for you. And it has to do really with one of the primary responsibilities of being a supervisor of athletics or an athletic director, call it what you want. It's to maintain the best staff of coaches, and on occasion, this sometimes involves finding a coach to take over for somebody who's either resigned, left, and I thought maybe you could take us through that process because it's not really just a cut and dry situation. A lot goes into finding the best coach for a team. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, without a doubt. And to me, it's very stressful. But I've been pretty lucky, Jim, because I'm not going to call them major sports, but I guess most of the coaches have been here since I've been here or became ADs. Became coaches when I became AD, and that process was shared with the former principal, Mr. King, and I. So, and being new to it, he gave me some guidance about that. But the basketballs, it was an easy one for Katie to go in there. Footballs remain the same.
Was it easy? It was just a natural thing that she would succeed. Did she express any trepidation about taking the job?
Of course, you would have to, and you would want someone to be because it means you care. So of course, and of course I was concerned, and I think we've exceeded expectations, going into the season. The whole process, first, the interest has got to be there. Should you go out and recruit people, or should they come to you? Now, I don't know the best answer, but at East Brunswick, I'm sure a lot of people would like to coach here, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that aren't right for East Brunswick. With the basketball position, we advertised, and there weren't many applicants. Why weren't there many applicants? Could it be, I don't want to replace Reggie Carney, a legend, it's a no-win situation. Could it be they don't have anything coming back, which, is as far as compared to what Reggie was dealing with? Or was it no one just wanted to deal with, changing, that nobody wanted to move from the system they were in to come here? We advertised many areas, and Katie, by far, was the best candidate.
Well, here's the point I want to make with that. You talked about Katie being such a natural succession candidate for the job. When you do have somebody in that position, is it possible that that's going to, I don't want to say turn off, but deter somebody from maybe applying for the job?
I think that could be the other thing. Some people say, well, they're going to give it to Katie. She's earned it. She knows what she's doing. She played college ball. She's got everything going for her. Of course they're going to give it to her. I've had some people that would raise some eyebrows who called me and asked about the position, but it was just a feeler. So the process, Jim, is the person leaves, then it's advertised, and you get your resumes and you look through them, and then sometimes it's easy. You pick up a resume, and the athletic directors throughout the state have a great network, so I would call up and I'd say, hey, this guy, Allinder, applied for the volleyball position. What do you know about him? And that coach would, or that athletic director would say, oh, he's a great guy, blah, 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 blah. Or, well, he's not ready, maybe in a couple years, or whatever. But you get some input from them right away. Because I'm not going to give someone a poor recommendation or a good recommendation if it's not deserving. So then you look at the resumes, you decide who you'd like to interview, you bring them in, you interview them. You certainly include the principal in that process. So the principal and you are on the same page. From there, it goes up to central office where, they meet with the person and then the decision is made.
Central office meets with the person.
Yeah, they meet with that's what's great about them. I don't care if it's an assistant coach
Right.
or if they're new to the system, or the head coach of a big sport. They want to know who is coming into the building.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we haven't replaced a lot of head coaches, and that's okay, and that's good. We have a lot of stability there.
Are there any anticipated changes that you're aware of that you even want to discuss for the,
Well, I would
the
certainly-
04-05 season?
I would certainly discuss it for next fall, you're talking, or this spring?
Yeah, for the next school year. Yeah, from fall, beginning fall. Well, maybe the spring you may even want to talk about that.
No, there's no changes
Okay.
for the major sports. Reggie was added to the golf staff. The Board of Ed approved the position a year or so ago, actually a little more than a year ago. No, unless you know something I don't know, and I'd like you to let me know.
No, I
But I'm
just recall that
anticipating-
the Board of Education is kind of, are they a rubber stamp, or do they actually scrutinize that coach as much as, do they have the confidence of the administration once they choose a coach to go along with that?
I would like to think that they have the confidence in me, the principal, and the assistant superintendent of schools, and the superintendent of schools, that they would go by that recommendation.
Okay.
I feel I'm pretty thorough in going through the candidates, because it's that person. And it's funny, Jim, sometimes when you read about in the newspaper the interest of the parents, do they take as much interest in the hiring of an English chairperson or a science teacher as they do of a football coach or a basketball coach?
Great point.
So
just-
that's the process.
That's just the zealousness of parents. I think we know that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. And if time allows, I'd like to probe a little bit more into some things that you can tell us based on the many years that you've been athletic director at East Brunswick, that being...
It's 16, 17, 18. I've been in the system 26 years.
Right. Okay.
This is my 27th.
Yeah, right. And Carolyn, who's just completed her junior year.
Caroline, right?
Caroline, she is your youngest, oldest?
She's my middle one.
Okay,
And
so
I've
you have
got
more coming up.
Christine, who's a freshman that plays soccer, runs track.
Okay, great. All right, let's talk about the list of teams that you've given us, and some of which I know very well, some of which I apologize, don't know very well, so we can use your help on the names of the players, and particularly the seniors. And we always start with cheerleading. Well, we don't always start, but cheerleading is such a prominent sport, and Michelle Sperduto is the coach. Talk about them.
Well, we put them first, Jim, because just past weekend they entered competition for one of the first times in a long time. The squad got together and took a second, and they're very proud of their accomplishments, which they should be, and we are. So that created a lot of excitement for the girls in the school, and we went with them first to let them know how proud we are, and their hard work certainly paid off by taking a second. And they have two outstanding leaders in Megan Smith and Christine Tishio, who was on the show once.
Right, we
Christine.
got a chance to see them.
And they were the captains and the leaders, so congratulations to Michelle and the squad for taking a second in that competition.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Any others?
Well, they're looking for more competition,
Okay.
Other competitions, and we're going to look at it and see how it fits in. And we're new to the competition. There's all different categories, and maybe we'll just take our time and see how heavy it is, because some schools, as you know, have competition squads, which means all they do is practice for competition. And then they have cheer squads to cheer the basketball game. Well, we have a cheerleading squad. Your responsibility is to cheer at the basketball game, football games. And then if you want to go into competition, it works out.
I understand the difference. I really do. I see a lot of vans driving around with soap suds all over the place about we're the champions of this, but it is really quite a, and the parents get involved with that as well.
It's just like the soccer moms. You hear that expression. You've got the cheerleading parents too, and that's good. That's good, as long as they're involved.
All right, and then band is another thing that gets into competitions as well. But that's for the fall, we handle that. Okay, let's talk about, as we talked about before, Katie Whalen being the coach of the girls basketball team with an 11-13 record. Not quite done yet, though.
No, we have Old Bridge this Monday, which is March 1st at Old Bridge at 6 o'clock. So everyone out there, come on down and watch the Bears take on Old Bridge.
Who will be involved in the GMC final, if I'm not mistaken, or is that going to be after the fact?
Yes, they are.
Okay. Yes, they are what?
They are involved in the tournament.
Okay. That might be an advantage. Who knows?
Who knows? But we will play them Monday, and we beat them at our place. So anything can happen.
Sure.
We played them tough. So what we want to do is go down there and see if we can make a little noise. Now, the girls, although the record, is not what they're used to, they probably stole 4 or 5 games at the buzzer in overtime, Jim, and that came down to coaching.
Exceeded your expectations?
Absolutely. It came down to coaching at the end where the right kid took the right shot and maybe the ball fell in instead of falling out. Last year, poor Reggie, they all fell out. This year, they all fell in. For Bo this year, they all fell out. That's why they keep score. That's why it's exciting, because you never know what's at the end. But I guess the brightest spot is there's a bunch of underclassmen on that team. So when you get like a Jesse Campbell coming back, a Laura Petriello coming back, the Dudra kid coming back, it's going to be quite a year, I think, next year. I think we're going to be a running team, a pressing team, something that we've done this year, but not as much. So we'll be back on top next year.
I was impressed by, I don't want to say, the continuity. It seemed like, even though there wasn't as many wins this year, saw the same heart, passion, effort.
It was the same style. I mean,
yeah.
Katie knows what she's doing. She followed Reggie. Reggie knew what he was doing. She was molded in that, and it's a fun system to play, and
Sure.
the kids get along with the coaches, and it was an enjoyable year, and yeah, we would have liked to win a couple. And by contrast, boys basketball and Bo, they were 9-14, and they just missed, lost so many games at the end. In overtime, even the New Brunswick game they were at the other night, one of the most exciting games I was at in a long time. It's different when it's at your place and you're supervising, or when you go to a gym and you're a spectator. It's a little, you can relax a little bit.
Absolutely.
But the kids showed a lot of heart at that game, and they just came up a little bit short. But it was interesting. The credit we received was indicated during the seating committee when we were seated number 11 with a record that was below 500. But they knew, because we've beaten a lot of teams and nobody wanted to play us, and there was risk, and that's a credit to the kids and Coach Henning. Aaron Horace is a younger classman who'll be coming back. He'll be like an all-county type player next year. Zach Simi, who made all-division, may have been one of our most outstanding players, maybe our most outstanding athlete in the school this year. Jason Jones did a great job rebounding, coming in and scoring some big points for us. Zach and Jay are seniors. But our boys JV under Coach Monteseschi, they're in the JV finals. JV finals will be taking place Friday at East Brunswick High School at 6:30. And there's a lot of younger classmen. There's Jimmy McCloskey, who got a little JV time. There's Tommy Gaziala, who I pick as a starter next year, if Bo ever asks my opinion. Then we have Josh Sims coming back, who did a great job for Bo this year, and Ricky Lasky. So Bo will be pretty good again next year. I'm not sure if we have a big guy to dominate, but boys hoops and girls hoops will be back on top next year.
Hey, how are the freshman teams, if I'm putting you on the spot by asking you?
Boys, freshmen, well, our emphasis on boys and girls freshmen is everybody plays, and hopefully we're going to win. We're going to teach the system. We're not going to sit in the zone so we can win a game. We're going to play man-to-man, and we're going to teach man-to-man, because by the time they get to the high school, they're going to know the offense and run the same offense. So we may lose a couple games because of the way we sub, or because we're playing strictly man or the system.
Okay.
But they both had good years.
They sure did. And congratulations to Katie and Bo. By the way, Katie had a rather able assistant coach
Yeah,
with him this year.
Richard's
Richie.
fine addition, Richard Whalen.
Yeah, he was. They complemented each other well. Okay, we'll put basketball to the side now and move into the winter track season. Once again, Brian Merrigan's team, not a lot of dual meets, 3-1, but a lot of quality athletes on that team.
Girls track and girls and boys winter track had a struggle this year with the weather. So we only got 4 duels in, and that was tough because sometimes it was, most of them were in the beginning of the year, and then we had to fight the elements. We scheduled it today, it got rained out next day. But, 3-1 is probably as good as we would have been. It would have been 5-1 if we played out the rest of the season. But we had some outstanding performances. We had Dana Leteplo was a conference champion in the high jump. Brittany Hahn was a conference champion. Brittany's going on to the Meet of Champions, which is being run this weekend. And Megan Donovan did a great job for us in the mile and 2 mile. So there are some quality athletes for the girls winter track. On the boys' side, we're always talking about Ryan Williams. So Ryan, congratulations on a great year, well deserved. But Greg Bull was a conference champ, and he's going to the Tournament of Champions this weekend with Ryan. So he had another good year. Jason Correa, football player.
James, right?
James Correa. What did I say, Jason?
That's okay.
Right. James Correa, he qualified for the TFC, and he also was a conference champ. So shot putter. So it was pretty neat that we had some sprinters, some high jumpers, a mix of kids to represent our winter track team.
Okay, and by the way, Kevin McAvoy, we didn't mention him as the coach of the girls team. So congratulations to and best of luck in the Tournament of Champions meet. Okay, wrestling. Glenn Pazinko, gosh, how many years has he been the coach now?
Glenn's probably been there 13, 14, 15 years. He's our acting vice principal, as you know.
Okay.
Yeah. Glenn's probably his best year coaching, or one of them. Last year was very good because we won more, but this year, very, very steady. You know, he predicted we're going to win here, we're going to win there. Of all the matches, there was only once we were upset that he didn't feel that the kids were really ready to wrestle. And that was first match of the year. Other than that, he just about predicted the points in the bouts. We had 2 individual champions. We had Carmen Corona, who won the GMC champion, and Matt Merrigan, who won the GMC championship. As a matter of fact, Matt, the other night against CBA, at the last match, we needed a pin to win. Matt was wrestling, pinned the guy, won the match, and his meet right there. So, and we got the districts coming up this weekend at South Brunswick. We're the defending champions, and we got a real good shot again to repeat.
Yeah.
It'll be tough, but because we have guys like Corey Richings and Jason Shelsby, who could be favorites to win the district. As a matter of fact, as we speak, I think Glenn is down at the seating meeting for that. So wrestling's
very important too, by the way, the seating meetings. For wrestling.
it's there's just a few times when you have that argument. Most of it's pretty clear cut. Yeah. Wrestlers, it's simple. If I beat you, I'm better than you. So
and of course they move on to the regionals and
and then the states.
Yeah.
And then in the conference tournament, the boys took a third, I'm sorry. Yeah. And that's where Glenn thought we would be. So they've reached their expectations.
That's great.
2 other kids that are very involved. We have 2 student trainers that work with Mr. Hostler. We've got Scott Passachow, and congratulations to Scott. Scott's going to Penn State. Matt Redding, who's an outstanding individual. He's also an outstanding student. He doesn't know if he wants Rutgers, NJIT. He's got a choice, but they helped out the basketball programs and the wrestling, and we thank them for all their help.
And Phil Hostler, thank him for just the continuing tremendous job that he does.
He's the best, no doubt about it, no discussion.
Exactly. What a trainer. And by the way, the dual meet record for wrestling was 9-6. So, all right, let's move on to boys swimming and girls swimming, coached by Charles Ganex.
Charlie Ganex.
Ganex, okay. The boys finished 8-4, girls finished 7-4. Talk about them.
Well, again, they both qualified for the states, which they both did last year, and that's not as easy as you think, because you've got to beat some good teams, and and a lot of it is done on times. So they had a good year, And again, they met expectations. Charlie told me going in, we're going to beat this team, we're going to beat this team. This team just has too many good swimmers. And the reason they know that, Jim, is they look at times in the newspaper, and in swimming, your time isn't going to change that much.
Okay.
You know, so they can pretty much
Right.
figure out who's going to win, and that's where the strategy comes in. Well, I know Knopp can't beat Jimmy Allinder in the breaststroke, but he could beat Dave Ambrosi in the sprint, so maybe he'll move him over
So
there.
you match them up.
Right, so they match him up. So there's a lot of strategy involved in the swimming, and Charlie does a good job. He and Pelly put a lot of time into reading the results and taking care of things.
Sounds like a wrestling meet, matching up wrestlers
but
in
you
classes.
it's easier to move them.
Yeah.
As far as swimming is concerned, we have a lot of kids still involved for the individual swimming state
Oh,
championship.
really? And they do it. Their meets were over Middlesex County College.
We swim at Middlesex, and
Okay.
we swam our championship matches or meets on the road this year.
Okay.
But Ryan Martinetti's qualified, Tom Norot, Steve Schreier, Brian Sullivan, and Brian Lee. I believe they've all qualified for the state tournament. And Christine LeBlanc is our Lowell. She's a senior. She's our female representative. If I missed anyone, I'm sorry. You know, I said it a million times. Those kids, it's tough. They get on the bus. They swim all year round. They taper down. Like wrestlers worry about how much they weigh. They got to worry about how much they have to put on weight. And there's a lot of time put into swimming, not just in the swimming pool.
You're right.
The bus there, the bus back, the weight. But very proud of our swim team and the coaches for the job they did. Almost as much as Coach Elias and the bowling team.
I was going to mention that. I'm looking
ahead.
at these records here. The guys finished 15-3-3. The girls 17-4. From a success standpoint, this was the most successful winter sports.
Boys were a few pins away from winning a state championship.
How about
and
that?
yeah, they were a few more pins. They made it to the GMC finals. They made it to the finals of the state tournament, the boys did. They took a second in the red division. Great year for the boys. They were at one time, I think, rated #1 in the state. They'll end up being like in the top 4 or 5 in the state, maybe 3. They just had a great year, and Coach Elias is just an outstanding coach. He does more than just coach bowlers. He talks to the kids, strategy. He puts in a lot of time with them, has developed a great rapport with the kids.
Is a bowling coach take a little bit different perspective or approach to coaching than, say, like a wrestling coach?
No, he tells me absolutely not. He substitutes. You know, you bowl if you bomb on that first game, Allinder's out and Ambrosi's in. That's easy. You know, it's on performance. If you're not doing well in your basketball game, coach takes you out. They sub. He does the same thing, and that's why they're successful. And he demands of them. Kids want demands, Jim, and Coach Elias will demand of them. We had 3 or 4 outstanding boys. Let me mention their name. David Stroziak, outstanding. Adam Pulaski had a real big game against St. Joe's a couple weeks ago. I think it was like a 280 or 270. Brian D'Amato, a senior, did a great job for us. And Jeff Boley may be our best bowler.
Really?
Who knows? But the boys had a great year. Right behind them is the girls. The girls also made it to the GMC finals, where they lost to Woodbridge, who was the eventual state champion, I believe. And they just did a super job with the same type of strategy and approach that the boys did. 2 of their outstanding players were Dana Torek and Karen Pulowski. And both of them should be all-conference and or all-division. So although we didn't get a lot of titles this year, we're in the thick of everything, and very proud of the athletes. We were ejection-free. No one was ejected in all of our fall sports and all of our
that's a good
winter
point.
sports. That's you know what, Jim?
a big deal.
If you're a small school and you only have a couple teams, that's one thing. But we got 8th grade sports, we got 9th grade, and we emphasize that. You know, we want to teach them how to win and lose, and to be gentlemen out there, and ladies.
You know, often, from my observation of having children in athletics, I know that it's very difficult for a parent to, you know, hold back some of the emotions, maybe some of the zealousness that comes in with your sons and daughters participating, and I know this is a subject that's really close to you, and I understand that part of a day that you're going to have at East Brunswick High School is going to touch on that.
16th of March, Jim. We're going to have someone to come in and talk to the parents about sportsmanship and behavior, and we invite all the parents, if your son's in first grade or senior in high school, to come on in. It's being presented by St. Barnabas High School, St. Barnabas Hospital. The presenter is also the trainer, the skill trainer for I keep calling them the Cosmos. What are they?
Metro Stars.
Metro Stars. So he does this as kind of a living, so he's going to make that presentation. Mr. Borden, our football coach, is going to talk to the parents about the clearinghouse, what they have to do to have their kid ready to play a sport in college. It starts their freshman year, and Marcus is just outstanding at it. So he's going to have a short presentation about subjects, about playing at the college level, what it takes to play at the college level, and how there's not a lot of scholarships out there. And unfortunately, size has got a lot to do with that. And then the third thing is we have a dentist coming in, Dr. Elkin. He's going to talk to them. I'm big on mouthpieces, big on having soccer players wear mouthpieces. So we invite the soccer parents to come in and listen to what Dr. Elkin has to say about wearing mouthpieces and how it'll prevent head injuries and concussions. So that's the 16th, and if they have any questions, they can certainly call me in the athletic office. But that started about the sportsmanship and the overzealous parents. You know, Jim, you've got to be a supporter of your son or daughter, and you've got to be, their #1 fan. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem is sometimes we all get clouded by expectations and what we want them to be. To be a Division I athlete in any sport, you have to be an exceptional athlete, because everyone is specializing, and it's the stronger and the bigger player, the quicker player. It's very difficult nowadays to play D1 sports in anything. So hopefully this will teach them or show them a couple of things.
Well, I'm sure you're with this type of a forum, you're doing the best for the kids and for the parents, and for East Brunswick, we thank you very much. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Talk. Frank Noppenberger, thank you very much for joining us. For Sports Talk, this is Jimmy Allinder. Thank you for being with us.